Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be about open string arpeggios and chord inversions. If you'd like to support the channel, you can subscribe for free on YouTube or paid subscriptions on Patreon. So open string arpeggios is going to be a really easy tool we can use to sound like a mandolin as a mandolin player. Now what do I mean by that? We need familiar phrasing, so that could be like tremolo. There could be so many things that sound like a mandolin, that have a mandolin sound to it. And so these open string arpeggios are going to be something that I think is super easy to do and also kind of help you start to see the fretboard a little bit differently. So let's define what an open string arpeggio is. It's going to be an arpeggio, which is 3 notes, usually chord tones of the chord, and it's going to be played usually with an open string. So let's look at an example of that. So an A major chord would be an A, a C sharp, and an E. So we have an A string that's open, so let's look at that. We have an A string here, right? So that would be the C sharp is on that 4th fret there, and then the E string. And so the arpeggio in succession sounds like this. So put super simply, we have 4 open notes there, a G, D, A, and E, and we can do that same pattern on each string and get 4 different arpeggios. So if you're in the key of A and you wanted to play an A arpeggio, a D arpeggio, and an E arpeggio, like the most simplest way to take a break on a song, you could do just that. You could take an A arpeggio, then a D arpeggio, then an E arpeggio, back to an A. So for me, this is kind of how I teach my beginners how to start soloing. So obviously just playing arpeggios and chord tones, you don't have a ton of reference to the melody, but sometimes just taking a break in a jam is very empowering. So let's look at that type of solo over 9-pound hammer. 9-pound hammer being one of the more recognizable beginner bluegrass songs. Well, the 9-pound hammer is a little too heavy for my size, buddy, for my size. Well, roll on, buddy, so roll so slow. I can roll, the wheels won't go. So let's take this concept just one little step further and talk about chord inversions. So chord inversions are super cool and they're pretty easy to understand. If you have a chord that's built from the root all the time, which is how we typically have been talking about music, which is an A, a C sharp, and an E. And if I wanted to build that chord with the same 3 notes, just in a different order, let's say we started on C sharp, A, and E. Well, that's still an A chord. It's just we started with the 3rd or we started with the 5th first. So let's look at an A and a D because it's really easy to see, and once you start to see this on the mandolin, it kind of opens up some doors to things that I think are really cool to play. So an A major would be an A, a C sharp, and an E, like we started with before. A D would be a D, an F sharp, and an A. But what if we started from the A first? So if we went up to there, and then we had like that, yeah. So we'll have an A major to a D major. Thank you for watching this video. If you have questions, please drop them in the comment section or come to the Patreon and subscribe. And I will be giving a heads up on what the video content of the next week's video will be, all that stuff through the Patreon, so come subscribe. Thanks for watching.